Hey Stashies, how are we doing tonight? Welcome to Yarn Yak.
How you doing?
Welcome to Yarn Yak, where we yak about yarn and fiber crafts and, you know, whatever else we want to do. I'm Kimmer.
I'm Carla.
And we are at the Stat in Baldwin, Wisconsin, which is our little LYS. We are kind of feeling a little zippy tonight. There's a lot going on at the store right now. Exciting things. But tonight's episode is part 2 of the fiber breakdown. Last week we talked about our plant and synthetic. And what else? There was another one, wasn't there? No. Biosynthetics.
Yes, biosynthetics.
Yep. We talked about those types of fibers, and we kind of like gave you, you know, a little bit of information just to help kind of clue you in when you're trying to select yarn for a project. Also to help you understand just a little bit better why some fiber contents may be quite a bit more costly than others. And tonight we're going to get into animal fibers. That was kind of a bigger category. So Carla wisely suggested that we separate the episode into 2 episodes. I had it all written as one episode without really thinking about how long it would be.
Yeah, it's like,
she's like, Kimmer, no.
Are we having a 2-hour show tonight?
3-hour tour?
Yes, a 3-hour tour.
Start singing the Gilligan's Island song.
That's how we end up on the island.
That's how we end up on the island. So anyway, first though, Carla, what are you working on?
I am working on it's called the Marguerite motif.
So this is a quick and dirty, just doing a motif type of thing.
Yes.
I am doing granny balls right now, which is, if you don't know, it is basically a granny stitch, cluster stitch with some, you know, you can play around with textures and stuff, but it's basically, and you put a ball inside of it and it makes a bauble ornament, and they're fun. They're very vintagey, and depending on the colorway, you can make them look like anything. You can make them look like a 1960s living room, or you can make them look like 1970s kitchen. Or, no, I'm just kidding. You can do whatever you want, whatever yanks your crank. So anyway, and if you're interested, I do have I did it with Kimmer Kit coming out tonight with a tutorial for how to do those. And it comes with a couple of styrofoam balls and all the yarn you need to do the 1960s vintage Victorian Christmas palette, which is like shiny and bright. It's very, very cute. So anyway,
it's gorgeous.
Both of us are doing quick things because the stash has done some investing and expansion, and all of the work involved to get ready for that has been going on hot and heavy the last week or so, and new yarns start arriving this week. Actually, the first big shipment, I think, comes in on Thursday, Friday.
Exciting.
So things are getting kind of exciting. There's empty spots on the wall with pegs going up, and there's new shelves, and it's getting exciting. And then also, of course, I had to do my winter display on my window, which always soothes my soul and makes me feel really happy. So
just beautiful.
That's happened, and that's got done last night. So yeah, I'm much calmer now that that's done. Anyway, so if you ever want more info though about what we're working on, you can always dip over to our Yarn Yak page and check out our About Us bios and see if there's any pictures or patterns. Sometimes there is, usually there is, but sometimes there is not. Sometimes things are just too nuts here. So you can always check that out. Our website is www.shopthestashbusters.com. And you can find us pretty easily by even just Googling Yarn Yak. So anyway, and now, without further ado, animal fibers. Animal fibers. Let me find the appropriate page of my notes. Here's Kimmer today. Beep, 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 beep. Wool is made out of sheep. No, I'm just kidding. Newsflash. So, animal fibers. Let's start with wool. That refers to, if you didn't know, no joke, fibers from the fleece of a very wide variety of sheep.
It's not just one.
It's not just one. Sheep are not a single heading. There are many, many varieties. Some breeds are have been bred for their fleece specifically. Some breeds have been bred for enhanced parts of what their fleece naturally does, and so on and so forth. They vary widely, and what they vary widely in are these three things. And this might help you understand a little bit why some, for example, merino feels so much softer than another merino. So the label just says 100% merino, right? What's the dang difference? Well, one of the biggest differences is called microns. You may have heard me talking about microns when we were talking about cotton. It is a measurement. I hope I get this right. I'm going to try. It is a measurement of the diameter or parts of something for the diameter of the fiber. And then the other thing that changes how it feels is the staple length. A wool spinner person tried to explain to me what staple length means, and I still honestly do not get it. My mind doesn't naturally gravitate towards really scientific stuff like that. So, but there is something called the staple length, and I believe it has to do with the length of the fiber itself. So, and like what part of it is solid and what part of it is starting to like frizzle apart, because that's what hair does, right? Same with sheep. Okay. If I have that totally wrong, please don't make fun of me on here. Okay, I'm doing my best. And then the weight. So how big around is it? How heavy is it? There's other properties as well that help to define their uses and their value, and therefore their cost. So obviously one of those things would be how common, how much of this X kind of fleece is on the market. So sometimes the market prices go higher. It's just like other commodities like orange juice and bacon and stuff. Sometimes the prices for something go higher than other times. So there is some fluctuation in the overall cost of wool. So anyway, there's a lot of breeds. Carla's going to tell you some of them.
There is a lot of
We couldn't even say, we'd be sitting here all night.
Yep.
If we tried to tell you all
some of the common breed names are, Kimmer mentioned earlier, merino.
That's one you hear all the time.
Yes, exactly. Shetland, Icelandic.
Icelandic is the super, super, super warm, sheds water like plastic, but also itchy wool. Yeah.
Highland. So Highland, and then Corriedale,
Cormo, yeah. Targi, I think is how you say that. Yep.
Finnish.
And Finnish, so Shetland and Finn, that is what our local yarn from Kathy Darnley from Finnegan's Fibers is. It is a cross. Her sheep are a cross between Shetland and Finnish, so Shet Finn. And that is why it's called Finnegan's Fibers. They named their first sheep, who was a Finn, after that.
So, or Finland.
Yeah.
Shet or Finland. Shetland and Finnish.
I'm just gonna like start tripping over my tongue. I mean, that could get bad really fast.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna move on.
So Romney.
Blueface
Leicester.
So I have heard Leicester, Leicester, and Leicester, like Worcestershire. It's a very difficult word for Americans to say. If you have a way to say it that makes sense to you, then that's the way you should say it.
Blue-faced sheep.
Yeah, they're the ones with like the gray blue face, and they have the really distinctive long nose.
Long snout.
Like really long, yeah, and their face is kind of narrow looking, but actually they're really big sheep.
Yep.
They're one of my favorites, and the wool is also one of my favorites. Shetland and BFL are probably, they're up there. They're in the top 5 of my favorite fibers to work with. So I'm really excited because some of the yarns we're getting.
BFL being Blueface Leicester.
Yeah. That's what I mean when I say that.
Yes. And then there's Polworth,
which is a UK sheep, if I remember correctly.
Yep. And then Valois and Scottish Blackface.
Visually, Those are my favorite.
They're
sheep.
so cute.
Those
They're
are the
adorable.
ones with the full, like, you know, the whole like black face and then the white wool everywhere else.
Yep.
And you
And they
can't
have
even
black
see
knees.
their eyes.
They have black
They're
knees
so
and black
cute.
feet.
The lambs
Yes.
of blackface sheep
Yep.
are so cute.
They are adorable.
I would rather have one of those than a puppy or a kitten, and I'm not
and then
kidding.
they don't look like they have eyes either.
Yeah, you
it's
can't
all
see
just
their
really
eyes
dark.
because it's just
Yeah.
all black.
Yeah. They're super cute.
They're adorable.
And then there's the American Tunis.
I believe that is a newer breed.
A newer breed.
I
Yeah.
think so. Or at least it's experiencing a resurgence
Sure.
in the States.
Sure. And then there's many, many more.
If you Google it, you guys, there's like a list as long as my arm of sheep breeds. It's crazy. So there's so many, but some of them are more abundant than others.
Mm-hmm.
Merino being one of the most abundant and easy to get. However, its value is based on the fact that it takes dye extremely well. It's very soft, and it's when you treat it for superwash, it's one of the wools that doesn't change. Sometimes when you treat a fiber for superwash to make it so that you can wash it, it changes it. It changes how it feels and how it takes and holds dye. So merino is one of the easier ones to do that with, which is why it is has such a high value, even though it's very common.
Right.
So anyway, there's a little example for you about value versus cost. And the WTF moment will give you another little clue as to value versus cost and what the heck is up with that. So
absolutely.
Some of the other ones that are kind of mid cost, mid price, high value would be like BFL, Blueface Leicester. It costs a little more than merino, but its value for what you get for that is very high. So it's definitely worth buying. Same with Shetland. Both of those wools give you incredible stitch definition. So if you want to make something where you want your work to shine like a rock star, definitely you want to choose a wool that offers you really good stitch definition for your project. So anyway, some of the qualities of wool.
Yes.
You go.
I'm going to go first.
You go first, because then I won't.
I would like to say that wool is, first and foremost, moisture wicking. It retains an ideal balance of moisture.
This was interesting because I didn't realize that that's how that worked. So wool naturally has lanolin in it, right?
Yep.
Lanolin is like the moisturizer of sheep's wool. That's what keeps it from being all brittle and gross. Okay. But the lanolin doesn't shed water so much as it keeps a balance of moisture. So it's kind of crazy how it works. You should read about it. It's interesting.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's not something that I would have known right out of the gate, because, even wearing wool. Right.
Because wool will keep you cool or warm. Right. Which makes it kind of scrambles my brain a little bit. Like kind of like linen, you know, how can something that do that how can it be both? How can it do both? I always perceive wool as wintertime, pile it on, I'm freezing. Right. But you actually can wear lightweight wool in the summer and be much cooler.
Reap the benefit of it.
Which we did talk about a little bit when we were discussing cotton last week versus linen. Same kind of thing. Wool is also very insulating. There is a crimp nature to wool that causes each fiber to butt up against the next fiber and kind of crimp, okay? And because of this, little tiny air pockets form, and that creates natural insulation. So that is why when you need wool to be warm, it is very warm.
Awesome. Yeah. So it's also really mildew and mold resistant, which is important. But the benefit of
a moldy friggin' sweater.
Exactly. The benefit of the moisture wicking is that it creates a naturally antimicrobial environment. So even though it maintains that balance of moisture, it's not going to destroy
it's not going to become, get ready for the word we all hate. It's not going to become
moist.
Ugh. Moist. It hurts my ear balls to say that word.
Yep.
It's also, except for a wool allergy, if you actually have an actual wool allergy, then it's not. But for everybody else who doesn't have an actual wool allergy, wool is hypoallergenic because dust mites don't like wool, and dust mites are what cause most allergies and asthma type reactions. Dust mites prefer a hot, humid environment much more. And those are more common in synthetics or down products. They don't like wool. So hot tip.
Yep. Nice to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing with wool is that it is extremely flexible and durable. One wool fiber can be bent back and forth up to 20,000 times before it will eventually snap.
I'd still be doing this tomorrow night.
Right.
And the wool still wouldn't have snapped yet.
And then for context, the same cotton fiber can only be bent about 3,000 times before the same will happen.
Yeah.
The balance of air moisture retained by wool keeps it from getting brittle over time, like other fibers.
Yeah, I learned a lot when I was doing the research for this. Also, that wool is thermostatic, which means it keeps you, which we just talked about from the other episode, it keeps you warm when it's cold and cool when it's warm.
Right.
Because of those little air pockets we were talking about and the moisture wicking. So wool is useful, very useful. And it's probably the most common animal fiber that people think of when they are talking about yarn.
Right.
And you know,
and natural fiber.
In natural fibers.
Yep.
But there are others. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Some of you probably have heard of mohair.
Mohair.
Mohair refers to so this is interesting because there's actually two things that are Angora, and they're not interchangeable. So mohair refers to the fibers from Angora goats. So they have very long, silky hair, and that creates very light, airy fabrics. Mohair does. It's held with any other yarn. It will add softness and like a subtle soft color with a big halo, really beautiful, luscious halo. It's a really good way to bulk up thinner yarns if you don't want them to, you don't want to use them really thin. We have some samples here at the shop where you can see a yarn, a nice yarn, knitted or crocheted by itself, and then the same swatch, the same sample, knitted or crocheted with mohair pulled along with it. And one of the things that always strikes me about that is how it softens the color transitions of the original yarn, and kind of mutes everything down a little bit. It's a very pretty effect, plus the lovely halo, and it makes it so soft. So that is what mohair is. Now, cashmere refers to the fibers from cashmere goats. So there's two goats, guys. There's two. There may be even more. That is one of the most prized and rare fibers. It's extremely soft and lightweight. It is low bulk, but high loft. So it doesn't bulk up, but the strand or the spin of the yarn, it's got all kinds of little hairs all over it. So it has high loft, and it's fluff and halo. So that's what's nice about that. Cashmere goat hairs are 7 times thinner than sheep's wool.
Wow.
Right?
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That is impressive.
So do you want to tell them about the other Angora?
The other Angora.
The other Angora.
Yes. Refers to the wool from Angora rabbits. It's known for its softness, the thin fibers, the halo, the silky texture. It's much warmer and lighter than wool due to the hollow core of the Angora fiber. This gives the wool its characteristic floaty feel.
Yes. Angora rabbit fiber is like, it literally, if you dropped something made out of it, it wouldn't even like plummet to the ground. Yeah, it's very floaty.
So yeah, I think of sweaters, if anybody's seen or felt or had an Angora sweater, and how
Angora rabbit though.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Sorry.
Angora rabbit. Well, I was always confused about that. I was like, wait, is Angora rabbit or is it goat? So apparently in the wool world, if you say Angora, you are referring to rabbit. If you say mohair, you are referring to Angora goats.
Interesting.
So keep that kind of in your mind.
Makes sense because I always thought Angora was just strictly rabbits as well.
Yep.
So that's really
yeah. So mohair is goats, Angora goats, and Angora is Angora rabbits. I hope we cleared something up for you in our like roundabout meandering way that we do. The next chunk of animal fiber that we're gonna talk about is the camelid family, which is alpacas, llamas, and camels. So we found extensive, extremely detailed, extremely scientific articles on this blog called Nimble Needles regarding these fibers. So if you have a really, you know, like deep yearning curiosity to really understand the different levels of alpaca and llama and the backgrounds and how these animals even came to be, started being used for fiber harvesting and all of that, check that out. Like I seriously read and read and read, and I learned so much, but there's way too much for a Yarn Yak show. So I'm going to just hit the big, like high points. So alpacas are bred for their luxurious coats. It feels much smoother than sheep's wool. It's much less prickly. It's very light, very airy, and very warm. Kind of like butter silk. You've heard me say when I talk about like baby alpaca that it's just like buttery soft. Yep. Royal alpaca / baby alpaca. The difference. Here's the difference. I got this from her blog, so I didn't know the difference before. It refers to the microns. Royal alpaca or super baby alpaca, if you see that description, is less than 18 microns in diameter. And baby alpaca, not super baby alpaca, baby alpaca is 19 to 21 microns in diameter. So that 1 to 3 more microns actually makes a difference in how the alpaca is graded, which highly affects the cost. So, for example, we have baby alpaca yarn in the shop. It's pretty affordable. Royal alpaca or super baby alpaca, that same 100-gram hank would probably cost twice as much. Wow. So, not that you can't use it. Everyone deserves nice yarn whenever they really want it. But that's why super baby alpaca costs so much more than baby alpaca, because it's a higher grade of alpaca in the first place. So its value is higher because there's less of it.
And it's an actual grade. It's not just, super baby.
Yeah, it's not the yarn, it's not the mill going, you know, let's charge more for that. This is super.
Yes, it's actually
it's a measurement. Right. So, and when it has to meet X standards to be called that name.
Right.
Okay? So there's that. It also has over 22 natural colors. Alpaca does.
Wow.
So if you prefer undyed yarns, so maybe you have a dye allergy or something like that, alpaca is your best friend because it has so many tonal variations of colors available to you. So there's a little thing to put in the back of your mind and keep.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
So there you go. The bullet points of alpaca.
Yes, alpaca. So we're going to move on to llamas.
Those things spit.
Yep, they do.
They spit. They're spitty.
So... Do it again. Do it again.
No, you can't make me.
So, I think you are a llama. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. She did not spit. However, llama is a very warm fiber. It has a hollow core.
Again, like the Angora rabbit.
And it provides super insulating qualities. The fiber diameters are of 20 to 30 microns, comparable to some varieties of wool. So that's pretty thick.
Yep, it's comparatively.
Yep.
It's quite a bit thicker. But what that means is that it makes it more like some of your like Highland wools and some of your heavier wools.
Yep, for sure. So baby llama fibers are very close to alpaca in texture and width.
If you ever get your mitts on some baby llama yarn, that's actually some pretty nice stuff. Actually, I think the softest thing I've ever touched besides super baby alpaca is baby camel.
Oh, camel.
Yeah.
Baby camel.
So camel is the next one on our list. The softness is comparable to a heavier diameter of cashmere. And you definitely have to look at the yardage when you want to buy camel, because it's not the weight when you're buying that, it's the yardage, because it's so light that it won't weigh very much, but it might have quite a bit more yards. So 25 grams or 50 grams of camel, or baby camel especially, may cost like $70 or $50, and it looks like a ball this big, and you're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Okay. But it might be 400 yards.
Right.
So
yeah,
keep that in mind. That's definitely a specialty fiber that you want to examine the pertinent details closely before you make a decision, a yay or a nay decision on it. Camel that you would use for fiber is a higher grade, smaller micron, higher grade camel hair than what is used for like camel hair rugs or coats or things like that. Just keep that in mind as well. If you've touched something like that and went, yeah, no, it's not the same. It doesn't feel the same.
Right.
So that is it in a nutshell. That is the fiber breakdown. Besides the fact that camel's incredibly warm.
Incredibly warm.
Incredibly warm.
So, but
it would have to be because of the climates that you think about, the climates that you use camels in, right away you think of a desert, right? How cold does it get in a desert when the sun goes down, though? It can be a difference of really like 70 or 80 degrees.
Right.
So it needs, the camels have natural insulation.
Fabulous. So, but there's other much rarer luxury animal fibers.
Yeah. So here's our WTF moment on this episode for you. I have heard of this before, but I didn't know what the going rate is. So our WTF moment for you, brought to you by YAK, is there is a fiber called Kiviute.
Kiviute.
It starts with a Q. It's spelled Qiviut, and that's how you say it, Kiviute. It is the name for the downy hair of muskox. It's the warmest fiber in the world, hands down, no contest. It's about 8 times as warm as sheep's wool. 8 times. Raw, unprocessed, so not yarn yet, not nothing, not combed, not nothing. Okay, just the Kiviute raw unprocessed fiber goes for currently about $35 an ounce. That is before it is even yarn yet. So if you really want something that is unbeatably warm, incomparable to any other fiber, that's what you want.
Absolutely.
That's what you want.
That is
one thing. I'd like to own one thing made out of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Just as a fiber, as a fiber artist person. Make myself a hat.
I think I need to get some muskox.
I don't think I'd make a hat out of that.
Yeah, no.
Because I think I would be like dripping sweat. But maybe
underwear.
Maybe a shawl or a capelet, something that you would layer that by itself then could be warm enough for a terribly cold day.
Probably not socks.
But without a bunch of bulk. That's probably what I do. Nice, you think about that. What would you do with yarn that's going to cost you like a car? As much as a car. What would you make out of that? Money. That's 7 times warmer than sheep's wool.
Money.
Too. Think about that.
To her.
I would make the finger of one mitten.
So she could make her
of one glove. I mean,
yes.
He'd sell me to make a capelet.
No. What would I make with that Kiviute? I would make money. I'd sell it to you.
Make money and sell it to me. All right. Well, that is the fiber breakdown part 2. Animal fibers. We hope we told you something that made you go, what? And something that made you go, oh. That's our goal. What? And oh. For the episode. We do have, we are back on the island. We're back on the island, but here's what happened. We got some questions offered up by our loyal audience, sent to our Ask Yarn Yak email. Got a few questions. So what I did is I wrote them down. And I got them here in a Shaggy Baggy yarn bowl.
Shaggy Baggy.
Shaggy Baggy. I love these things. They're so multi-purposely useful. They're just like, thank you, Sharon from Shaggy Baggy. These are my favorite. They're my new favorite thing. I don't think they'll ever not be my favorite thing anymore. So anyway, we've got, I think there was 5 or 6 questions. So I wrote them all down. I'm separating them. I wrote them all down and I stuck them in here.
She's peeking.
No, I'm not. Stop lying to them. God. So, Carla's going to draw one out, and the both of us are going to answer the same question. That's how we're going to do this from now on. So we're back on the island. Ta-da! We have no idea. So some of these questions I was kind of like, but they're you guys' questions, so we wrote them down. What does it say? Ask me. I'm ready.
I think we kind of touched on that one. Would you rather be on a strict food diet and have unlimited yarn, or vice versa?
I think we talked about like food, like, you know.
Oh yeah.
But let's get into this. Would you rather be on? I'm gonna assume a strict food diet means like, you know,
no carbs,
no caffeine, no sugar, nothing whatsoever that makes life enjoyable. Can't eat anything good, but you get yarn. I'm assuming. Oh, unlimited. You get unlimited yarn. Or would you rather not be on a strict food diet, be on a strict yarn diet?
Is it Kiviute?
It says this is a strict yarn diet. I don't know. I mean, that means different things to different people, probably.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
So I'm going to assume it would be the worst thing for me, and answer the question as I'd way rather be on a strict food diet. Yep. Yeah, if I have yarn and I'm busy, I don't really care as long as I'm not hungry.
Doesn't matter.
I don't really care what I eat.
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd be cranky. I'd want a cheeseburger.
I don't want to be on her island.
I'd be cranky, but I could get by. I'd rather have unlimited yarn for sure.
Yep,
definitely.
Me too. I would have to agree. I would rather have unlimited yarn.
I wouldn't want to be on her island either.
No, you wouldn't, because I am hangry.
She's a hangry person.
I am a hangry person. No lie. Throw food and run.
So what it is us and all of our friends, we're all going to be spotted like one at a time on our own individual deserted islands, but we're going to be airmailing yarn to each other.
Yes.
You got any blue over there?
Oh, you know what? You be on an unlimited yarn diet. I'll be on an unlimited food diet.
Problem solved.
Yes.
Problem solved. We'll just get some birds and we'll fly the stuff back and forth from island to island. We could send messages to each other too.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. Oh my gosh. We sidestepped that question.
Yes.
Totally.
Absolutely.
I don't know who asked this question, but
so
we sidestepped
I wonder
it.
I wonder if that would be the unladen sparrow.
Oh Lord.
All right. Folks.
All right. So anyway, join us next week on Yarn Yak for our long-awaited, much asked for stash busting episode. We are going to attempt to do this in one episode. There may be a stash busting round 2 episode type of thing. This may come up periodically because there's so many ways to bust your stash, but we are going to give you some starting points and some hot tips. For example, how to take one yarn weight and mix it with another yarn weight to make a third yarn weight so that your weight through your whole project is consistent, even though you're using bibs and bobs of a whole bunch of different kinds of yarn.
Fabulous, huh?
I'm going to tell you how to do that. It's a little bit, to your own judgment, but, you'll be able to figure it out. Yep. So that is our episode next week.
A little teaser. Hope to see you next week.
Tease. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you visit our website at www.shopthestashbusters.com. Check out all of our offerings, our new yarn lines coming in. Check out our Chicks with Sticks membership program. And check out our I Did It with Kimmer kits. Who's this Kimmer chick? Anyway, Kimmer. People are doing it with her.
Kimmer.
If you want to know what I'm talking about,
Kimmer.
Jump on there and see what that's about. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. We put our Yarn Yak episodes, our tutorials. We have 2 types of tutorials, Shut Up and Give It to Me, which are quick and dirty. They literally just tell you how to do a thing.
Boom, boom.
No
Done.
other talking.
Yep.
And then we have regular tutorials where there's a little bit more explanation and things are done a little more slowly for people who don't know how to do it yet. So we have those, and we also have my I Did It with Kimmer tutorials, which are private. So you get a QR code when you buy a kit, and then you can see all those tutorials. So check out that if you're interested. There's a lot going on here. Like I said, all kinds of things happening. So make sure you check in with us every so often on our website and see what's happening here at the stash. And until next week, Happy yarning, my friends.
Yarn.